Here is the Color Aid packet, a famous packet of colors that was developed originally for the famous color teacher Joseph Albers when he was at Yale. It now contains more swatches than the original packet. It has 314 colors, 17 grays, blacks, plus black and white. And so we're going to try to sort all of these today by first developing a grayscale out of using this black and white scale. When you open up the packet, you're going to find a stack of colors. This is not a new packet, so it doesn't look quite the same. Generally speaking, the grays are to be found in the center, and one half of the packet is going to look really vivid, and the other part of the packet, the other side, will look more dimmed in terms of saturation. So our job is to find all of the grayscale, and let's see what we can do to find 10 steps. Removing the black, and we're going to remove the white, the very darkest and the very lightest ones in that packet, and put them aside for another time later on. And you're going to find that we have the remaining colors. We're going to try to sort them into tens. So this packet was never designed for the purposes we're using it, so it's not real even. And you're going to see that it has really, relative to the lights, more lights than it has dark. Let's pick out 10 of these. Now that means that some colors are going to be kind of significantly absent, but that's what's true of an international scale. So this, where you use the bottom one, for instance, I recommend that you start with 1.5. And on the back you'll see the lightest one after white, which would be our 10, is 9.5. And we're going to start with those two colors. I find that you need to use most of the darks here. So we're going to be looking for a fair amount of jump between the colors. The next one, this would be our value 1, this would be our value 2, this would be value 3. And then of the next two, they're a little bit close together. And so often we have to take one out. Where is that? I think it's these two. So I'm thinking this one and this one is what we might end up using. That gives us value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we have an assortment of 10 different grays from that original pile. I think it's always a good idea to check them. So I like to take 3 at a time so that they look equidistant visually. Now this packet is not perfect for this, so sometimes you'll have to make a decision as to what looks better or not. So this is the next value up. It looks okay. So we've worked up through value 4. Here's the next value up, which is the 5. And the next one up. Oh, these two look close, actually, don't they? And then we'll keep going up. And then this one actually has a big jump. It feels like there are 2 darker ones and 1 light one. I'm going to continue going up to see what it looks like. Here, oh, again, we have a problem right through here. And I'm going to continue looking at this in terms of 3 at a time. I think it's the 4th one that's problematic. In fact, I already know it is. And the fix would be to get one that's a little bit darker so that there's more contrast between these two. And that would be this one here. So now we have a 10-step value scale. Okay, so now we're ready to sort some color, and I recommend that you start with colors that are cool. Why would that be? Well, it's because the grays are veered towards coolness. A warm neutral would veer towards tans or browns, and so the blue is the closest color in the packet to match these colors here. Any of the cool ones would be better than some of the more warm-colored ones, the oranges and reds. Get used to sorting these first. Now you'll notice that these are already somewhat gray. They're not vivid. Start with those. If you are ever confused, you can flip over and look at the back. Any of the colors that have the letter P on them, for instance, are muted, are softer. So here are some colors. Here are blues, and let's just see where they go. I'm going to turn this way. You can see the corner very clearly. It does not match. Actually, on this paper, it's slightly darker than this paper, but it's hard to read. And I'm going to put it here because this is close. It almost matches this paper, whereas on this one, it shows up, even though they are both quite dark. If this were a very small number or a very small letter, you'd still be able to read it. And so, as I like to say, it's not a good thing for your business card to have a letter that's close to the background because people will never call you up. You could also do it in reverse. So see how the gray shows up? This one would be much harder to read. This is slightly darker than the gray stuff, so there are going to be colors that are a little bit darker. Let's try some more. I see a very crisp edge. My eye reads this very quickly. You want to do this rather quickly. Place the whole piece of paper down, touching the bottom, and move it along, and your eye will catch it just like it catches a ball quickly. As soon as you start to think about it, your eye starts to adjust to the color, and you can no longer perform this unless you've done this many, many times. Again, here, it's way too dark to go here, and it's too light to go here. It has to be somewhere in here. So I'm going to let you decide here, or here, or here, or here. Again, I read it too easily. I can read it somewhat. I can read it again. Here it disappears and falls to the background, just like a ninja hiding against a building. Here are some lighter versions. Let's try the blue again. I'm going to put it here. To me, that disappears. It fuzzes out even if it's a perfect match. Some of these may not match perfectly, and you have to decide if they go right or left. Generally, if they're a step apart, I correct them for you, but I don't call it a miss. This is a little bit too dark to go against this gray, a little bit too light here. It matches here. Now this is a good example. It's slightly lighter than the background color. I'll do it in reverse. You can see that the corner here is slightly darker than the background of the blue-green, but this is the closest match we have. So even though it's not perfect, it should live here. Let's try this one. Same thing. And what I'm seeing is two different hues. One is more blue, one is more blue-green, and they nearly match, and they both live at 10.9. Value 8 here. This is darker than this. It has to go here. Another one. It's way too dark. Starts to match about here. I have a choice between here and here, and it's usually, I tell people that the uglier color combination, I would accept it either place. Yeah, that's where I was going to put it. Now, whether this shows up on the screen, I don't know, but these are different colors. They both live at value 3. Here we have some other ones that are dark. This has got more yellow in it. It's going to live. Here, it's between these two, but this is the closest one. Here is a saturated one that shouldn't be in this pile. What was I doing? Here's a very light green, and it's going to go all the way up to the top. It's lighter than here and slightly darker than there. This is going to be a your choice kind of episode. There's a light one. The corner is very clear against this. It would make a lovely envelope. This, it almost disappears if it were the envelope flat. Brilliant. It's too dark for there, too light for here. It's going to live right through here. I think the edge match or go together. This one is a perfect match for this gray. So this is all about training your eye to see very small differences in color. Orange is tricky because this is a lot more saturated. This one's going to live way up here. We'll talk about one similar. Here's a very soft, flesh-like color at number 10. We're getting into the reds now. It's a little trickier, the warm colors. I think this is easy to read here and here, but harder. It's a little dimmer here. The yellows are very tricky, so you're going to want to put the yellows in the wrong order. So see this really brilliant yellow? That's a 10. Almost all of them are going to be 10s if you still call it yellow. So it's easy to read that color. Let's put the gray against it. See how easy it is to see that edge, the edge of it or the corner here. But this color, piles a little neater, is harder to read. That were a little tiny number, it would be hard. It would be fuzzy looking to the eyes, so this is your number 10. The rest of them are going to be, there are other number 10s here. This one, I'm going to call that a 10 as well. This one, which seems slightly lighter, is still a 10. Some of these might be even lighter. They might look best against a white, but we're not using white. Now, just to repeat this information, this is a yellow that has gray added to it. It's still light, but it can't go here any longer. This yellow lives here. It's between these two, but it's probably a little bit better here. And you can't decide. You can take the corners and do something like this. This is very helpful with your cardboard or something. And back away from it, squint your eyes so that you get only a little bit of light. Or look through your eyelashes and see which one, and look away and then look down again quickly. Which one do you see more quickly? I see this one more quickly, meaning that that has more contrast. This sinks more into the background color. Here's that same situation where we have two corners. This is far more noticeable than that. So let's not use 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take the one on the other side and compare it. They are both very close. To me, if I look away though, and I think that this is slightly more prominent. Some difficult ones are the reds and oranges. We've placed a couple of them. Generally speaking, greens and reds occur somewhere in the middle here. Greens are usually a step at full saturation. They are a step lower than reds, but you're going to have various saturations to deal with, so that's the problem. So this is going to live here. Let's test these two corners. I think this might be telling. That's more prominent to me than that. I see that quickly, and I go with that first intuition. 10 values, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and so on, sorted into individual piles. There's going to be a variation within each pile, and when I check them, I do a certain thing, and this is how you can do a self-check. So what I like to do is take the gray from the next pile up and see if it works with any of these other colors better. That's fine. Look at this. This orange matches this one better than this one. Let's move it to here. And we just keep working like this to see if there's anything that belongs in the pile next door. Did I do this? This is between. This is fine. And I will continue up to produce a value scale. So once you're done with that, we need to do something with these just so that you have some sort of future reference that you can use as a guide. You'll need to separate out your grayscale and make yourself a little grayscale that you can use for future projects, and then you can easily refer to that. This is useful if you want to measure color. For instance, my top is value, let's see, is it about a value 4? It's between 3 and 4, huh? Some of it's 3 and some of it's 4. Let's call it a 3. There are different ways to assemble this. Some people use all of the colors that they've sorted. I only ask for 6, trying to approximate a color wheel, getting all of the colors at each value, if that's possible. So here's a version where somebody did it very simply, cutting off the corners of the packet of coloring paper. This student used black paper, it looks really glamorous, and a punch to form a circular form, and puts 2 to a page, and you can see the different values as they look. Here we start with, let's go around the color wheel, yellow, some sort of an orange, well, this is orange, but it goes to reds. Red violet is not here, but there's a violet. There are different forms of blues and greens all the way up to green yellows. So see if you can go around the color wheel, and then you'll have it.